now. Holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Fugazis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 455 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. How's everybody doing? Hopefully enjoying your summer. And we have a little special summer guest right now. He just got back to Sweden, our buddy Matt Murley. Murls, what's going on? How's your summer going, my man?
What's up, fellas? It's going well. I had a heck of a time. This is my first time back since Game 1 against Vegas. So
Oh my God, Murr.
Oh, my God. Feels like a century ago.
Yes, it's crazy to be back here after that long. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I had a great summer starting with that, then the Nashville trip, and then the last few weeks I've been up in Albany and well-documented Saratoga, my favorite place in the world. So I got up there for a few trips, and we're back in Sweden.
How'd you hit the ponies?
It didn't do great. 9 days. It was open for 9 days. I made it to 5 of them, so that those are pretty good numbers. I like that. The gambling was kind of up and down. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, and it went fine. One disappointing thing is I missed Mr. Ice this year because I was planning on seeing him last weekend, but then Dave's horse got scratched because of the weather. So they end up flying up to Toronto together the day I was there. So they missed that day, and that was it. So it wasn't as fun as last year when I got to see Mr. Ice and the Syndicate put on a beating, but it was a great trip. The Vegas Insider, Miggs, made it out for a weekend, so we had a good time there.
Murr, I got to ask, what is one piece of advice? I told you, I've never been to Saratoga before. Very disappointed that you're back in Sweden. Was hoping my first time in Saratoga would be with you. I think I'm planning to go soon. But what would be your one piece of advice? Or, you know what? Give me 2 pieces of advice from someone who has never been to Saratoga before and is making their first trip this summer.
Your first pilgrimage there. So number one, I guess, since we're big Pink Whitney guys, you can't bring in the glass bottle of Pink Whitney. You got to bring in the little plastic nips because there's no glass bottles. So I guess that leads into the number one thing. You can bring your own booze, but it has to be in plastic or in cans. So don't bring any glass beer bottles. Don't bring any glass liquor bottles.
And when you say bring, is this into the tailgate, into the venue? What do you mean?
Yeah, right into the venue. So you can wheel in your own cooler. A lot of people will bring chairs and they'll set up almost like a little mini campground. They'll bring the pop-up tents, and you can have it that kind of system. So that's one way to do it, to go all in up there. But the way I like to do it is you maybe get a little seat in the clubhouse, but you're paying $17 a beer up there. So you bring a smaller cooler and you kind of just stash it around the grounds so you can go out, grab your free beer, then go back and sit in your expensive seat. So that's a little trick of the pros. And it's the craziest place on earth still up there. You can just leave your coolers filled with High Noons or Pink Whitney or Big Deal Brew, and nobody will touch them. It's just there's still a respect factor up there. So sneak in your own booze is number one. Number two, be ready for the after party. That's probably the best part. Ooh. After, there's a couple different bars. You can go to Trackside Grill. You can go to Horseshoe. You can go to Ciro's. They're all walking distance to the track. So you go there. So
basically, don't blow your load at 2 p.m. is what you're saying. Don't get too drunk at the day drink, so at night you can still go out.
Yeah, exactly. So this will happen as soon as the last race ends. Maybe even before the last race, people will start making their way to these outdoor bars, and there's always great live music playing. And those will go till roughly 9:30, and then after that, you're on your own. You can try to head downtown if you're still standing, but that's my favorite part, is those outdoor bars afterwards.
It's a late last call there too, Murls, right? Isn't it 3:30 in that neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. and it's not needed, especially when you're starting at 10 a.m. at the track. So the 4 a.m. downtown Saratoga, that's why I say you're on your own if you want to battle that anymore. Gee, a guy like you, young guy still, you would want to do that. I'm over that. I go to the outdoor bars. I head home, get ready for the next day.
I'm excited. I'm very, very excited.
And now, did they have Big Deal Brew for sale at Toga, or were those the ones you brought in?
No, I brought those in. I made sure to stop by the local Stewart shop and got my Big Deal Brew and brought them in. And they were a hit. I saw a lot of people saw them and were, oh, big deal brew. So that was fun. And like I said, you bring in the Pink Whitney nips are key. They're key. It was so hot. I don't know how it's been where you guys are.
It's been so muggy. It's been so humid and hot. It's been disgusting, man. It's been a tough summer so far, too, with the weather. It's like, it will be nice during the week. Weekend comes, it fucking pours. It's brutal.
Yeah, that's what we had. It was either pouring rain or too hot to be outside. So basically, we were living in my parents' pool. You get out of the pool, you would hang out for 10 minutes, be like, this stinks. Go inside the AC till you're ready to jump in the pool again. And it was really a brutal summer. There's terrible weather reports, too, which the couple days at Saratoga weren't that good. Guy scratched all the horses, and then it never ended up raining anyway. So
wow,
that was disappointing.
That's tough. I could be at the spa tomorrow. I'm doing my annual Vermont trip, and we usually slide over. Haven't planned on it yet, but we might, if not tomorrow, maybe Thursday. So could be over there. Yeah. As far as the weather, I saw something online that a buoy down in Florida, it measured the water temperature at 100 degrees. The water temperature, like it was 100 degrees, which is like, I mean, that's bath level, like not even, if not hot tub level. Yeah.
I mean, when I hit the ocean at down the Jersey Shore, I even thought the ocean water there was like bathtub water. Like you could just lay in it all day.
Yeah, but 100. I mean, that doesn't even cool you off at all. But
yeah, that's tough.
Folks, before we continue, it's the Wit Dog here, and it's time to talk some Pink Whitney. The summer of 2023, a memorable year for many people. Most importantly, yours truly, because of the sales of Pink Whitney and how much you guys are supporting this brand and this drink. It means the world to me. It means the world to us. And I just want to say thank you. And actually, as I've started to do these ad reads and get involved with really diving in deep to Pink Whitney and what it means to so many people out there, I told you I've been receiving DMs of special maybe occasions Pink Whitney's at, weddings, bachelor parties, bachelorettes. Well, I got a DM this week, folks, that's going to blow your mind. It's going to knock your socks right off your body, Granelli. I got a DM from a kid named Corey, and he told me he's liked this girl for 2 years. I don't know how old he is. He's 21, but I don't know how old he is. And he told me he could never muster up the courage to talk to her. I couldn't talk to her. I didn't think she'd like me. I don't like my hair, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what happened? He slammed home a couple of nips of Pink Whitney. He said, Whit, I finally said, fuck it. I think it was the Pink Whitney talking. I went up to this girl. What'd she tell me? I've been waiting for you to talk to me for a year. And this kid told me that without Pink Whitney, his new soulmate would have never even been involved in his life, his universe, anything to do with him without Pink Whitney. So can you imagine this kid just walking around sad all day? I like that girl in the corner, but she won't talk to me. Boom, shot at Pink Whitney. Boom, shot at Pink Whitney. Boom, mixed drink Pink Whitney. Next thing you know, wedding bells are ringing at some point, I think. So, Corey, congratulations on your new girlfriend. You're welcome. Also, I will not forget about you lake people. I dogged you early on talking about the beach, talking about the golf course. You lake motherfuckers are the craziest bastards out there. And I'll tell you, every single time I hear from a lake person, I know that I'll never, ever forget the lake people again. And I don't know if anyone saw the video going viral about all those sharks swimming in the ocean in Corpus Christi, Texas. That's another reason to be a lake person. So get out on the pontoon boat, grab the water skis, and grab the Pink Whitney with a nice cooler with ice. You don't want the Pink Whitney warm. You need it cold. And get out on that lake and rip it up like the lake people you are. Some of you missing fingers. I don't know. Lake people are crazy, but I love all of you. So continue to support the brand. I thank you so much. Lake people, golf people, beach people, stay away from the sharks. Stay close to the Pink Whitney and enjoy yourselves. And thanks to Pink Whitney and thanks to myself. Not trying to be cocky, but it is my name. I love you very much. Pink Whitney out.
Speaking of cool off, Sebastian Aho could probably install a couple more new pools if he wants to cool off down in Carolina. He got a nice little extension from the bosses. 8-year, $78 million deal comes out to $9.75 million average annual value for the 26-year-old center, just turned 26 the day he signed it. Murls, let's go to you first. What was your take on this? Right about what you thought, more or less? Where's he fit in elsewhere? What do you think here?
Yeah, I expected it. He's been a big part of their team, and it's tough to find free agents anymore. There's no free agents. We saw it this year. There was no big players, so you have to lock in your guys. You got to lock them in long term. Maybe it's a little higher than maybe his points show, but when you're a leader of that team, you're in Carolina. You got to overpay just a little bit. But I think it's a great deal for both sides. But if anything, maybe a little extra money. But that's what he gets for being probably a lifetime Cane now.
Gee, what's your take on it?
I mean, as a guy with a with a team that doesn't have a number one center, I'm saying grab him and don't ever let him go. Pay him whatever he wants to get. But I mean, I love the contract. I like to look at the comparables when it comes to this thing. So Barkov signed a $10 million per year deal for 8 years. Dylan Larkin, 8.75 for 8 years. Bo Horvat, 8.5 for 8. I mean, Bo Horvat getting 8.5 for 8. I'd much rather Sebastian Aho at 9.75 for 8. Like, I think that's a much better value, and the cap's going to go up. The cap is definitely going to go up. That's something we know. And I think in 3 or 4 years, you're going to be looking at this contract and saying, this is nothing. This is great. And it's funny because I texted Murls in RA right before this, and I was like, I was planning to come on this podcast, and my whole thing about today's pod was going to be the Bruins are fine this year. Next year they're going to go get Sebastian Aho. They're going to sign Aho to this big ticket, and then 10 minutes or a few days before we jump on, fucking Aho fucking signs the deal. So I like the deal for the Canes. I like the deal for Aho, and I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of coming in those numbers that you see all of these young stars coming in at right now, and it could be a bargain. I mean, especially if the cap, goes up significantly in the next few years, he could be a bargain depending on how much the cap goes up. And also, looking ahead to next summer, I mean, we could take Aho off the board, but these are names, again, they're probably going to be some of them re-signed by the current team, but Austin Matthews, Elias Pettersson, Steve Stamkos, Connor Hellebuck, Jake Gensel, Mark Scheifele, Willie Nylander, all those guys are potential UFAs next year, so hopefully the Bees can either make a move for a guy, a little sign and trade, or something going on, because we do got to replenish the stocks, because Patrice Bergeron, 20 years with the organization, 19 in the NHL, the 1 year down in Providence during the lockout. He hung him up. A sad day in Boston, but a grateful day. I mean, sad to anytime a guy of that caliber retires or leaves your team, it's sad, but happy to have had him for as long as we did and for what he did. And I mean, you're much younger than me. I mean, you essentially grew up with this guy as you're Bruin, and you probably took it harder than anybody in the crew.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I always say, like with Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl in New England when I was 7 years old. So all I've really ever known in my life was winning football. With Patrice Bergeron, it's like all I've ever known is having like a reliable, unbelievable hockey player as my number one center on my team basically my whole life. So yeah, it was definitely tough. And one thing I think about is, so my dad had season tickets my whole life for the Boston Bruins, and when I was younger, he moved them up to the balcony around 2004, 2005. And his reasoning at the time was, I want you to watch this Bergeron guy. I want you to watch him every single shift. Realistically, he probably just didn't want to pay the price for the lower bowl. And he just told like a 10-year-old Mike Cornell, hey, I'm doing this so you can learn from Patrice Bergeron. But every game I'd go to, it was kind of like, hey, ISO this guy, watch what he does. And it was always, he plays the game the right way. He plays the game exactly how it's supposed to be played. So yeah, man, it sucks. It really sucks. I've made numerous videos. I've said it on this show. I'm not worried about the Bruins next season. I think Bergeron's coming back. Bergeron, Zacha, Coyle down the middle. Now this kind of changes everything. I'm pretty worried heading into next season. There's a clear gaping hole at the 1C position. But congrats to Bergie. Congrats to his entire family. I think an unbelievable career. Top 2 Bruin all time, in my opinion. Bobby Orr being 1, Patrice Bergeron being right behind him at 2. He got that cup in 2011. Triple gold club member, won the World Junior, won the gold medal at the Olympics, and then won the Stanley Cup. So there's really not much more you can say about him. Best defensive forward of all time, and that they should rename the Selke after him. So it sucks. I'm very sad, but kind of one of those things. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Exactly. Mal Murls, not necessarily a Bruins guy. What was your take on it? Just his whole career, his whole legacy as a guy who didn't grow up around here.
Yeah, I mean, I become an adopted Bruins fan just through my brother and being friends with you guys and the barstool watch parties. And it's not going to be the same. Like turn, like you're saying, you turn on the game, he's out there. He's out there. And as a pro or as a coach, you do want to watch him. And like your dad was right, you should have watched everything he did. And now that like we're in this business and we got the interviews with the guys that have played with him, you heard how much of a guy he was in the locker room and away from the ice, where we should all learn from him even more that way than we did on the ice, how he respected everybody. He took care of the rookies. You weren't a rookie. You were part of the team, which was a lot different than most teams back 20 years ago when he first came in. And I never really got to play against him in the NHL. I didn't get out. He wasn't trying to shut down my line ever, and I wasn't allowed out against his line. But in the AHL, I was, and I always remember this. This was when he was in the AHL in Providence. I had him lined up. I'm like, this guy's not looking. He played in the NHL the year before, so everybody knew who he was. But I got this guy lined up. He wasn't Patrice Bergeron yet, I got this guy lined up. He doesn't see me coming. I go to hit him. Little did I know he did see me coming, and it was the first cold shoulder I ever got when the guy pretends he's not looking. Boom, right in my chest, knocked me down, wind out of me from a reverse hit, and I was like, "Ooh, this guy's going to be a serious player." I knew right then, and obviously went on, had a great career. And gee, I agree with you, and I think I saw it in your blog, RA, about changing the Selke to him.
And you look at the history, and Frank Selke, it's no disrespect to him. He was a general manager, Hall of Fame general manager, but he didn't play the game. There was certainly nothing to do with like being a defensive forward with him. And that was the day they were naming all these awards after general managers and owners, and a lot of like cronyism was going on. So I don't know. The guy won 6 of them. I think he's gotten something like 42% of all the votes going back to like 2011. There's just so many outrageous stats. So I mean, if they do, it would be a hell of a gesture. And our buddy Singsy, he was talking about the internet the other day, about naming maybe doing with this all, not just that award, with a bunch of them, maybe modernize them. These names are going back 80, 100 years. Some cases, a lot of new fans can't relate to it, don't know what it is. I think you can maybe modernize the awards in some way. Also,
all right, what are your thoughts though? What are your overall thoughts on him leaving, the Bruins' future next year? Like his legacy, everything.
His legacy is, I mean, like you just said, it's up there among the best in the Bruins' history. I mean, I know people say you can put Espo here, you can put Bork here, but he played his whole career here, 19 full seasons here, 20 with the organization. It's a gaping hole, man. I mean, we're not going to realize how bad it was until we see the Bruins this year, and he's no longer in the lineup. Obviously, his 37 is going to be in the rafters, I would imagine, sometime next season, unless they're going to wait a little bit longer. And the next stop after that will be the Hall of Fame in 3 years. He should be a first balloter. But just the man on the team, the way he kind of calibrated that whole locker room culture, him and Chara together. I saw the quote from McAvoy said, like, we're going to try to take what you built here and keep it going, like kind of keeping that friendly locker room, just having respect for everybody in the team, everybody in the building. I think that's one of his legacies, of course, to go with the on ice legacy. And just one of the best athletes in our lifetime. There's no doubt about that. A first class human being. I mean, we hear a lot of shit on the side about guys we obviously don't talk about in the show. Or players podcast. We're not going to throw him in the bus. I've never heard a bad word about the guy. I've never heard like really anything negative about him. So I mean, he's just I would say perfect human being. None of us are perfect, but I mean, we've never heard anything negative about the guy. And also, the quotes from Sid and Sully that the Pittsburgh Penguins Twitter feed put out, and Butch Cassidy. I think that's testament to how well he was thought of, and even Sid even called him among one of the greats. So yeah, it's a huge legacy he leaves behind, but it's another Hall of Fame. I'm so glad he got the 1 cup. Wish he got 2 because that's sort of the standard in Bruins history. The big bad Bruins, Bob Orr. He won 2 cups. If he could have got us that second one, he would have been right on that legacy, that pedestal with all those guys. But even so, he got the 1. He did a hell of a job here, and sucks to see him go. But he did a terrific job here. So actually, Murls, you just mentioned that season he played in Providence.
It's so weird for me, RA, because this is like the last of my childhood fandom, right? Like I've all the players I was like a fan, like a true fan of, like I would like wait outside the arena for their autograph at 10, 13 years old. Like they're all gone now. So it's weird for me. Like even just thinking about I'll always be a fan of the Boston Bruins, but there's just something it's just different now, and it feels different to be a Bruins fan. And not to take away anything from the team, I love this team so much, but yeah, like that youth, the childhood part of me is now gone. And one more thing about, there's two ways I like to think of Patrice Bergeron, and one, like how great he was off the ice. You always hear about the guys talking about him off the ice, and I think it's really funny because you don't hear many like crazy Bergeron stories, how outgoing he was, and I think that's because there's a respect factor there. I still think Bergeron was getting in the mix with all the boys, and I heard a funny story on Missing Curfew. Jimmy Hayes, R.I.P., he told it, and he said that one night they were all at the club, and they're waiting for the bottles to come out, and he just can't find Bergeron anywhere, and he's looking around, and then this guy comes, and he's got like a big mask on, and he's like dancing with the bottles, like dressed up as an alien. The guy pops the head off, and it's Patrice Bergeron. So it's just cool stories like that. And then you think about even Bergeron playing with the punctured lung in 2013, like just playing through all the injuries he did, coming back from those awful concussions. It's been like there's been a lot of highs and lows in his career, and it's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, Murls, that season, Brendan Walsh brought him to the Boston Marathon on Marathon Monday 2005 because they weren't playing. He was, I think, 19. And we, like you said, we had already seen him rookie year, and I was, Marathon Monday, needless to say how I was feeling that day. And we were like kind of sitting there. There's all, kids from Southie, Dorchester, Charlestown hanging out boozing, and, this new Bruin shows up at Walsh, and I was like bundled, like telling him like he had to show Joe Thornton, he had to lead the way because Joe Thornton, obviously get traded not long after that. But I was like, but you got to show him the way, show him how to play, play with heart, whatever. He's looking at me like who's this goofball, And well, he ended up getting the cup, so I guess he listened. But speaking of the cup, one of his old teammates we were able to track down. Unfortunately, we talked to him before Bergeron retired, so we didn't get his take on that. But either way, we caught up with our old pal Milan Lucic, who's coming back to Boston this season, signed a 1-year deal, $1 million. So, I think we should send it over to Luch right about now.
Sounds good.
All right, Milan Lucic, enjoy. This interview is brought to you by Chevy. Chevy is working to make charging simple. There are over 110,000 charging stations across the U.S. and Canada and still growing. And you have the My Chevy app? Your smartphone becomes your co-pilot when you're using the My Chevrolet mobile app with Energy Assist. Thing is unbelievable. The app allows you to access vehicle information like your battery status and charging settings from anywhere. Unreal technology that Chevy's been working with. And they also have the Energy Assist feature, which intelligently plans your routes, tells you where and how long to charge up, and gives you real-time data about charging station availability. Unbelievable stuff. Like I just said, we did the commercial about these trucks. They're beautiful. Get them in any color. Gorgeous interior. You got to check them out. The home charging stuff is awesome as well. There are 3 different levels available, and Chevy electric vehicles offer great options for charging. All of them as simple as plugging in your smartphone. And you can learn more at chevy.com/electric. All right, it's time for our next guest. He's making his 3rd appearance on the show, and he'll be heading into his 17th NHL season this fall. He, of course, won the 2011 Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins. Welcome back to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, and welcome back to Boston, Milan Lucic. How's it going, pal?
Luch!
Well, great, guys. You guys doing?
Awesome.
You look great.
I was just crying laughing because Grinelli, before you signed on, said, yeah, so the Luch signing got announced, and I looked down at my phone and had a text from Milan Lucic. I said, holy shit. It said, how horny is R.A.? But unfortunately, there's a man who may be hornier, and that's you, Biz, because we're going to have to play that clip.
That was
What
AI.
do you mean, Biz? What do you mean?
That was AI generated. That was not me. I don't know. I don't trust the fucking internet, the interwebs. That was AI generated. I'm not fucking my mattress, Luch. I don't even have a mattress. I sleep on the floor like Boyd Gordon.
AI generated.
Funny, I just saw. I didn't see that clip before, but I saw it now, and I feel like you kind of have to. You kind of have to hold your
shit,
department.
Luch.
No,
I'm not one to renege on my
you're
bets.
a man of your word. I know you are. You're a man of your word.
All right, fine. We'll do a. Hey, I'll tell you what. If you get a hat trick this season, I'll do it on a live stream.
Okay. All right.
We'll do a Chiclets live stream and me just crushing my mattress. But hey, you got to be fired up to be back in Boston, man. That city loves you. It's like you're their adopted son.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of how I feel. I feel like I'm going home, you know? I mean, obviously Vancouver is always going to be, you know, my hometown and where I was, you know, born and raised. But, you know, when you go somewhere as a 19-year-old where you kind of, you know, you guys know how it is, where you become an adult and, you know, and I was out there by myself. So I kind of had to like, you know, figure out the city and all that type of stuff. It was like where I matured and became an adult, and I was there for a long time. I was there for 8 years, you know, and then, you know, got married while I was a Bruin. I, you know, had 2 kids, and 2 of my older kids are born in Boston. And so, yeah, like I said, it's a, you know, it's a place where I really feel like I became myself and my own. And so that's why it feels like I'm going home.
With you saying you got married while you were Bruin, it reminds me of last summer, and probably why that video ended up getting leaked about me fucking my mattress was because you were at Tuukka Rask's wedding, and just seeing all you guys reunited, man, it just seems like it makes sense. You have such good connections with those guys, and I'm sure you're excited.
Yeah, and you know what? That was the best wedding I've ever been to. It was a Lake Como. He had one of the nicest villas on the lake. I mean, that's the first, anytime you get a chance to go there, we had to go. And you know what, like, especially with what happened with COVID and all that type of stuff, you know, we weren't able to celebrate our 2011 10-year reunion, you know, because it was, you know, 2021 and stuff was still shut down and all that type of stuff. And, you know, with everyone being busy and getting older and having kids and all that type of stuff, it's really hard for us to kind of, you know, reunite and get together and do stuff. And you know, I think that's one of the first things we kind of did together, where we had a big group of us together, and it really was a lot of fun. And you know, yeah, that video.
You guys were fucking buckled.
Well, you're in Europe, Biz. You can go even harder when you're not on your own continent, I feel like.
Well, the thing is, too, is Tuukka, he didn't let us have beers and stuff until like 8 p.m. So all we were allowed to have was like Aperol spritzers and like white wine. So, and it was like 40 degrees Celsius. So what is that? I gotta get back to going to Fahrenheit, because I've been in Canada the last 7 years. So I gotta go back to Fahrenheit. But
Times
anyways,
2 plus 30.
Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, it was smoking hot in Italy. He made it black tie. I'm like, Tuukka, are you kidding me? You're gonna make it black tie? It's gonna be 100 degrees. And then it was just Aperol spritzers or Prosecco. And so you know how that is. You start hammering the Prosecco back with all the sugar and all that type of stuff. So yeah, we were feeling good and feeling sexy before the food even came out. And yeah, that video of us dancing was even before we started dinner, and Marshy just could not wait to undo his shirt and get shirtless, as
why
as you guys know most hockey weddings turn into.
Why'd they say no beer? Because you start the chugging contest like you did during the bubble. Were you in Toronto or Edmonton during the bubble? Because I heard that you were just getting the guys going.
We were Edmonton, yeah.
Okay.
So I think that was a part of the reason why. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Tuukka's wife babysitting you guys, saying, "Yeah, we're not getting into these antics."
No beers for Looch until 8 p.m. Tuukka.
No, but you know what? It was probably a smart thing to do, because it was a really, really beautiful wedding. So, and you know what? Everyone behaved. Everyone, you know, was good, and that's the main thing about it. So.
You had another one this weekend, didn't you? Another wedding?
I had 2 actually. I was in Toronto for 2 of them. The first one was for Brett Ritchie, and then this Saturday was for Andy Andreoff. So we had a couple guys out, a couple LA boys that Biz know. Forby, back with Forbes for the 3rd time.
Oh God!
Yeah, I get
he's still single, isn't he?
Shit.
I think so, yeah. So back with Forbes now for the 3rd time.
If we could do a most eligible bachelor, maybe like a season of The Bachelor NHL styles, I would love to see Forbes on that.
But Biz, that's just if he gets his elevator fixed. Remember when he came on, he had like some wonky elevator that didn't work at his place. You got to chirp him, Luch.
Hey, he's actually moving to the Back Bay or the South End because of that. So because of the elevator. He was telling me that on the weekend.
He said he was chirping the landlord's daughter about nepotism, and they were just in a heated battle.
No, but you know what? Two great weddings. One was in a barn in Orangeville, so that was a lot of fun. for Richie because he's out that way, and then Andreoff did his at the Four Seasons in Yorkville, and as you guys know, Four Seasons Yorkville is top notch. So, but yeah, 2 great weddings, 2 great guys, a lot of fun. Had my shirt off on both of them, so yeah, good times.
Luch, like, take us kind of through coming back to the Bruins. I mean, I know, like, free agency opens. I'm guessing it was on your mind. Like, can this work out? Like, how did it? Was it Don Sweeney came to you first? Did your agent call? How did it all go down?
Well, first off, Craig Conroy was pretty awesome about it. You know, he gave me permission to talk to a few teams, you know, before July 1st. So, you know, him doing that, you know, I couldn't thank him enough for that. Just
Get ahead of it.
You know, and I had asked him to, I'm like, hey, like I got 3 kids, like lots going on. Like I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of a jump start on all this. And then it kind of became, you know, a public thing because what isn't public anymore with social media. And yeah, so, you know, I didn't even know what to expect. And, you know, there's a lot of teams that reached out and all that type of stuff. And then, you know, one of the first guys, or he was the second or third guy was my agent called me and said, hey, Don Sweeney's going to call you. I was like, oh, really? You know, because I never really knew if you know, if they would entertain me coming back or all that type of stuff. And, you know, he just called me and said, hey, Luch, how you doing? All this type of stuff. How's it going? How's the family? How's the kids? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, his first question was, you know, would you have any interest in coming back? And I was like, well, of course, you know, it's, you know, I'd love to come back and you know, just had some conversations that way and all that type of stuff. And obviously I went back to talking to a few more teams and all the other teams that were interested. And then, you know, I got to talk to Monty as well and had some really good conversations about what my role was going to be and all that type of stuff. And the main thing for me too was, you know, I kind of wanted to go back to, you know, like an original 6 team and stuff like that. Cause I really enjoyed that. You know, sometimes when you start somewhere, you don't really understand what it fully means until you're gone. Yeah. And I don't want to say like, I took it for granted because I didn't. I enjoyed and embraced, I think, being a Bruin as much as I possibly could. But if you get what I'm saying, sometimes you don't truly understand it until you go somewhere else.
You don't know how good you had it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, then you realize, okay, like, you know, wearing the Spoke B, playing at the Garden, being in the city of Boston, you know, like, you know, and not only that, like, my 17th year now, I get to come and do that back as a Bruin, and it's going to be their century season. So to be back for the century season for the first, you know, professional American team, you know, NHL team. So it's you know, all the stars were aligned for me to come back, and that's, you know, that was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And, you know, selfishly, I kind of wanted to do it for my kids as well. And, you know, they don't really, you know, they were 2 and a newborn when I got traded. So they don't really remember me as a Boston Bruin. So to go back and wear the jersey and put the black and gold on for them, you know, now they're 10 and 8 and my little guy's 5. They'll now see me, you know, wearing the Spoke B. So selfishly, that's kind of cool that I get to share that moment with them as well. And like I said, all the stars were kind of aligned for me to say yes and come back, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, RA, were you aware of that the Bruins were, like, they must have been named the first team as opposed to what, Detroit, New York,
Chicago,
and Chicago? So they were the first American team established
in the NHL. Because there was a team in Seattle, but they weren't actually in the NHL. There was a whole bunch of leagues before the NHL. But 100 years, man.
Little fun fact for all our fans. Thanks, Luch.
Luch, crazy, did you never sell your place? Did you own a place the whole time, or
I sold it, unfortunately. I still kick myself to this day why I sold it.
Oh.
And then after I sold it, Krug bought it a year after that. So me and Krug, it's both of our places. And I think if you ask Krug the same question, he'll probably tell you the same thing, that we're both kind of kicking ourselves why we sold it. But you know, that's kind of a reason why I went back, because I was in Toronto for those 2 weddings and I stayed there for the whole week. And then I was like, hey, midweek, I'll just jump down to Boston, check out some schools for the kids, check out some places to see where to live, nice. And all that type of stuff. So, and, just right out of that Billy Bishop, airport there, a nice little Propel plane, hopped down to Boston for the day. And, it was kind of nice. Everyone's saying I brought the sunshine because they said the weather's been brutal this awful. Summer. And then ever since I came back, it's been nice. So you guys are welcome.
Yeah, Bruins fans, it's pouring rain. They're like, it's beautiful out. Luch is back.
Sunshine, sunshine. That should be your new nickname this time around, Sunshine. Luch, I was thinking maybe we could make you the first ever player sponsored by Big Deal Brewing, considering you're the one to be known to crush pints. Maybe we can work something out. Are you sponsored by a beer company yet?
I'm not sponsored by anyone, so maybe
I like this.
We can talk after this. So
okay.
Maybe
We'll have to do a little business. Now, you did mention going back and not appreciating your first time round or as much. What would be the difference between playing in Boston to Canadian markets? Like, I know the Edmonton experience didn't probably work out as well as you'd hope, but Calgary, it seemed to really rejuvenate your love for the game.
Yeah, I mean, Calgary was great, and I think I give a lot of credit to all the people that I was there with. And the cool part was the fans in Calgary embraced me right away. So I mean, I wouldn't even have the puck. I'd be going in on a forecheck, and they'd just be going Lou. Like that's and say what you want. Like those things, they get you going when in the middle of the game. You're just like, okay, like I'm gonna go out there and kill someone for them and all that type of stuff. But no, they were all great. And, even my teammates, it was such a great group, a really good group of guys. Biz, I know you were a big fan of ours, especially that 21-22 season. And, I think that whole group still kicks themselves for the way we lost to Edmonton. And because we really had a group that could have went all the way. I mean, I don't know if we would have beat Colorado after, if we got to them in the conference finals, but we definitely, had a really good chance to. And, those, you think back to all the years that you play, that's one of the teams that you kind of kick yourself about, that you're like, we didn't reach our full potential like we could have. And, so that one kind of stings, but yeah, you know what, just the differences is, I mean, I always say it, and I already talked about the original six stuff and all that type of stuff. But like, for me, being an athlete in Boston is there's just something different about it. There's just like, especially the time that, I was there and going back to, I mean, you got to remember, like I show up in 2007, the Red Sox beat the Rockies and they win a World Series. The Patriots go 16-0. The Celtics get the big three and win, the NBA championship right away in 07, 08. And then they go back to the championship in 2010. And, we're kind of catching up and getting caught up to these other teams winning championships. And then we eventually win in 11. And then, the Patriots are always dominating and all that type of stuff. But, there's just something, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like, when you think of when you're a kid on what it's going to be like to play, in the show, whichever show you want to call it, NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, when you get to do it in a place like Boston, it definitely feels like that, like the show. And the way the fans embrace it, the way the fans care about it. I think, like, what is it? Is it like WBZ or the Sports Hub 98.5? I think they're like the most listened to
sports radio show in the country.
And no, just like flat out radio stations, because like people in Boston care more about the professional sports more than anything. And I think even too, like, there's a lot of these American cities, there's college sports that are bigger than their pro sports. And I'm not saying that the college sports aren't big in Boston, because they're pretty huge, but the way they cheer for their pro teams and the way, they get behind them, and, even if, even the way they're all over you if you're not playing well, it's just like, it's just something different. And for me, there was always a connection with the fans, a connection with the city. So for me to go back to that, it's pretty awesome. I get like a little bit of goosebumps just thinking about it.
You got chills right now, Luch?
Well, I think about that first game and getting introduced. I think it's going to be a pretty cool moment.
RA, are you yelling Luch from the press box, or do they say you can't do that?
No, be in the locker room.
Oh,
Sneak down there. I walked into the regular section, and I'll yell it there. But Luch, are you gonna live in the city or the suburbs now that you got a few kids?
I haven't decided yet, so we're still trying to figure that out. Yeah.
RA's got some space at his spot. He's got a 3-bedroom.
I'll buck up with him if I need to
Buck up.
stay a night or two.
I love it. Did it ever get like suffocating, like talking about the fans again, like almost too much, especially during the cup runs, back 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever. Like just like overwhelming, like just too many people maybe on top of you.
Not really. I mean, I think I did it. I did a pretty good job of kind of keeping a low profile for the most part when I was there. I didn't leave the North End much, so that's really the only place you would kind of see me. So yeah, that was kind of it. And
you better start packing heat if that's the case. If you're going back,
but then but you know what, like. And the cool thing about that was I just became like a neighborhood guy there, so it was like, even when I went back, I just missed it. Oh, hey, Luch, how are you? How are you? They hit me with the hey, are you? I'm like, oh man, I missed that. So I gotta get my accent going again.
I'll give you some
Luch, we had Toffoli on, and he kind of talked about the worlds and everything, and that must have been pretty special for you, right? You go over there, you get to experience that, and kind of take us through you deciding to go, and I actually read, didn't you kind of call and say you wanted to go?
Yeah, I actually I reached out to Doug Armstrong. There was a bunch of guys on our team that they had reached out to, and the first guy that said he was going to go was Weeks. And then Weeks said he was going, and then Toff was kind of on the fence deciding. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm calling Doug. I've never been. I'm going to go. I'm coming. And because I'd never played it before. And, it's something that I wanted to experience. And I think, if you get a chance, and everyone has always told me that if you get a chance to experience the World Championships, you should experience it. And the cool part was, one of the things that was attractable too was we were doing our 5-day camp in Budapest. So, you get a chance to go see Budapest, get together with the guys and all that type of stuff there. And then we were in the Riga, Latvia group. And everyone that I talked to had gone to Worlds before that had been to Riga. They said, it's one of the most, underrated, places they had been to. So yeah, I mean, and anytime you're on Team Canada, you have a chance to win gold. So I was like, you know what, this would be, I got not much plan, not much going on. And I still felt like I had juice left in the tank. And to be perfectly honest, I kind of didn't really want to start my summer workout in the middle of May. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go and keep playing, and like I said, I was still feeling good, still had juice left in the tank. And that's why I called Doug and asked him if I could go. And he said, you know what, just give me 2 days to hear back from the other guys that they invited. And, and if we get the no's, then we'll have a spot for you. So luckily enough guys said no that they had a spot for me, and ended up being a blast. And I go back to my kids, when I won the Stanley Cup, I didn't have kids. I was just a young 22, 23-year-old. And, at least I got to share, one championship with them out in Finland. So that just made it all worth it.
That Olympic ice has to be a bitch, though. Like, I'm not saying you're the slowest guy, but fucking, you're about as fast as I was out there.
Well, hey, that's actually one of the things. Like, well, I went out there, and then, obviously there's a lot of scouts and stuff that were out there. And I think it actually, helped me, kind of get the interest that I did for UFA for July 1 because of all the guys, all the scouts and stuff that came out and watched, and that everyone just kept calling me and saying, oh wow, Luch, you're moving, like you're moving. Like
you were buzzing out there?
And honestly, I think that's the biggest reason why I got a lot of interest was because I decided and called to go to the World Championships and played the way that I did. So yeah, that helped me out as well.
Before we go any further, here's a word from our friends at The Score Bet. Hello, Canada. This episode is brought to you by The Score Bet Sportsbook and Casino. The Score Bet is the best sportsbook for the hockey obsessed. With a wide variety of markets and daily specials from us here at Spittin Chiclets, got you covered for everything on the ice. Me, Murls, and Chi, we're going to have those specials all season for you once the league kicks back in. So if you're in Ontario only, download the Score Bet app and create an account today. You can build and follow your bets directly from the Score Sports app for the best possible experience. And the Score Bet also has you covered for all your other favorite sports and players. Plus, there's tons of iCasino games any day, anytime. We know football's right around the corner. Get ready for that. That's the Score Bet. Download today and see how the best sports app, period, does sports betting. Please play responsibly. 18 plus. Ontario only. Gambling problem? Call ConnexOntario at 1-866-531-2600. I understand you talked to Chicago quite a bit at free agency. Was that like kind of the lure of Bedard, maybe going and playing with this next superstar?
Yeah, for sure. And again, another thing that was a big draw was original six team, and and not only that, you get to wear one of the nicest, if not the nicest, jersey in the league. Cool city, awesome city. I think for me, I have maybe the most family out of anywhere in Chicago. So, I would have been playing in front of a lot of family on a night-to-night basis and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's what was a big draw to me was all that type of stuff. And you know what, I thought it would have been pretty cool to play with a new kid that obviously shattered a ton of records, doing what he did in juniors and world juniors and all that type of stuff. And, not only that, he's a Vancouver kid, a Western kid as well. Would have been a chance to play with an up and coming, potential to be one of the best, Vancouver kid players out of Vancouver ever. So it would, those things crossed my mind. But like I said, getting the opportunity to come back to Boston was something that I couldn't pass up.
You mentioned earlier there were a bunch of teams. So other than Chicago, who were the other teams? Are you allowed to say? Were the Leafs in the mix?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I talked to Tree a little bit, obviously, because I had Tree in Calgary there. So he expressed some interest, and I was like, it'd be tough for me to be a Leafer.
because of the Boston connection, you'd feel like you'd be a turncoat.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't stop you in the Battle of Alberta. I guess you didn't have a choice in that one, though, eh?
I didn't have much of a choice in that one. So,
I heard they brought you back to Boston to help lure Bergeron back. Any rumors or rumblings that he's going to be skating this season for the Bees?
You know what? I don't know what his plan is. Obviously, Bergie is someone I think that can do and whatever he needs to do or wants to do. His career speaks for itself. So. I'm not going to say anything that's going to, start any rumors and all that type of stuff. If, Bergie's a class act and, one of the biggest class acts that's probably ever played. So
we'll do it.
He's going to make the best decision that's best for him and his family. So we'll see what he does.
I was talking to someone who's like friendly with his financial advisor or whatever. And he said that for like 4 or 5 years, like right when the season ends, he's been like, I'm done. And then like late July comes and he just gets that burn again. So hopefully for Bees fans, that kind of happens once more. I mean, you coming back definitely doesn't hurt. So that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I hope it helps. I'll do whatever I can to help out. So I'm not just going there either for just like a farewell tour. I'm going there because I still, like I said, I still feel like I got juice left in the tank. That's why I went to the World Championships. So, my plan isn't just to play 1 year and hang him up. I'm like the great Mark Recchi said, he always said to us, you play until they kick you out, because when you get to the other side, there's nothing better than being a hockey player, because when you get to the other side, it sucks.
Oh, big time. I was going to ask about your relationship with Sutter. I mean, I would imagine you're not, you don't mind the hard-nosed coaches. And then also, how hard was it to see the turnaround and losing Tkachuk and Gaudreau? And even in some cases, I think Tkachuk maybe wasn't a big fan of Sutter and his antics and maybe his style of coaching.
Yeah, you know what? Daryl's great. Everyone knows Daryl's hard. Everyone knows Daryl demands a lot. He's hard on you every single day. Even if you're on a 8-game win streak, he's still hard on you. He's one of those guys that's always going to push for more, and he's always pushing for more. And maybe sometimes, it wears on you, and it wears on you, and it's hard. But in a sense, it's almost like he's doing it because he wants the guys to kind of come together and make it light amongst themselves. But like I said, it can wear on you because he can be hard on you. And you know what? Like I said, and I've said this before, I think his coaching tactics, his X's and O's, his ability to break the other team down, it's the best that I've ever played for. I mean, you come in the room, he's got writing all over the whiteboards and all that type of stuff. So I'd get a coffee and just try to figure it all out before the meeting. It would always be pretty fun. And then I go over to Trevor Lewis. I'd be like, what do you think this is today? So we try to figure it out. Usually me, Tanev, and Toffoli would go around and try to figure it out before he would tell us.
Just like inspirational quotes or was it like riddles?
There were quotes. There were quotes. Sometimes they were inspirational. Sometimes they were like,
Fuck you.
Well, no, not that direct, but along those lines. But all that type of stuff. Just sometimes they were simple. Sometimes it would just say quick, physical, smart, and that was it. And we're like, oh, okay. Or even just like QPS, that was it, and all that type of stuff. So yeah, you know what? Like I said, he's a great coach to play for. But. And you transfer seasons. So in 21-22, I mean, you could say everyone loved him, because we're winning, everyone's having success, all that type of stuff. It's like any coach. But then when you have expectations and you don't live up to expectations, and then, frustration kicks in, players are frustrated, he's frustrated, and he's not the guy that's going to come in and say, all right, boys, we're lightening things up today. He's not going to be the guy to do that. And all that type of stuff. And then everyone just started wearing on everyone and all that type of stuff. And like I said, his game plan is great, all that type of stuff. But, sometimes, like I said, he gets too hard on you and all that type of stuff. And the new generation of guys, they don't really take it like we do.
Yeah.
And, so that's where I think now, it's for me personally, I think one of the most important things is being a great motivator. And just because of how the new generation is they need to feel motivated. They need to, kind of be patted on the back and say, let's go. And, and to me, that's nowadays is what separates the good coaches from the not so good coaches.
Do you think that kind of style is going to eventually go away, that hard nose on top of guys all the time, because like you just mentioned, the way the players are these days?
To be honest, I think it's always going to depend on the group, right? So I think you gotta know your group. You gotta see how, pushing buttons and all that type of stuff. Is it eventually going to go away? I don't know. You already see that the Q is already taking out fighting, which I don't agree with. So there's now there's the 3-fight rule in the OHL. I think there's a 10-fight rule in the WHL. So, and I think that just all kind of is going full circle. So, the hard-nosed stuff seems to be getting less and less as time goes on. Who knows? Maybe we'll see cages in our lifetime in the next 20 years. I wouldn't be surprised if you college guys.
You referenced that series against Edmonton where you guys thought that you had the team to win the Stanley Cup. Throughout that series, what do you think went wrong? Like, I felt maybe there was maybe a lack of adjustments made, and especially how quick they were through the neutral zone, and you guys were really okay playing that rope-a-dope style against them, which seemed to fit more into their hands. So I don't know, what was your opinion on the series?
Well, I think you're right, Biz. I think I think we opened it up way too much against them. And you can't open it up at all against those guys. And then I think the worst thing that could have happened is we won game 1. What was it, 9-5 or 9-6?
Oh.
So then, so game 1 is opened up. So then what do we think right away? It's like, we think, okay, now we can score with these guys because we put up 9, in game 1. And I thought that was the worst thing that could happen. And then it seemed like when Hyman scored that PK goal in game 2, I don't know. I don't remember if it was to make it 4-3. I think it was
a shit show too. Every game was a shit show.
Every game was a shit show. And then, just like, I think we just lost our heads and lost our cool in the way that we needed to be, how we needed to be and how we needed to play. And then, every time we took a penalty, they would score on it. And every time we got a lead, they would score right away back, after that. So, and then, like you said, every time we turned the puck over and ended up in our net, it was like everything that, it was just so uncharacteristic, of how we played that whole season and how we did our thing. And I think you're right, Biz. It was a lack of adjustments because we didn't tighten it up after that. We didn't tighten up the neutral zone. We didn't tighten up the D zone. We didn't, do all that type of stuff like we did in the regular season. And then it ends up costing you the way that it did. And I think it was a bit of a carryover into last season because how everything went down.
Even as an Oilers guy, though, I can admit, like, you guys had a way better chance of, the Avs just swept them. You guys would have given the Avs some action, right? Because I think it would have been just a totally different game. So, yeah, looking back on that team was good. That regular season was nuts, and Markstrom was playing as good as he's ever played, I think. So I do think he's going to bounce back this year, though. Sutter not there. It'll be a little easier for him. He's a great guy, huh?
Great guy, great teammate, a great person to beat around, likes to have a lot of fun. And the thing is, he works his ass off too. So like even for him, like you could just see the frustration in his face this year, and it wasn't from a lack of effort or anything. He was almost like trying too hard because he cared as much as he did. So yeah, I'm with you. I think he's going to have a great bounce back season.
Well, Toffoli told us that it would be 0-0 after the first, and Daryl would come in and he'd be like, Vildar, get ready. He's like, what the fuck? I haven't given up a goal yet. But I wanted to ask you, like, you said 17th year in the league. That's wild. What a run. But what's changed in the summers for you? Like training now, are you more skating? Like not as heavy weights? Like how has it evolved for you these past few years as opposed to, when you came in?
Well, you know what? I don't have to work as hard building my base strength anymore. So, my base of strength is there. And so, I don't have to spend a good chunk of summer just working on a strength phase. So all that type of stuff. So that's one thing that's good. So like you said, it's not as heavy weights as what it used to be. And, I'm not really doing like power cleans and all that type of stuff anymore where, you couldn't walk for like 3 days after and back squats and all that crazy shit that we used to do.
It's ridiculous what we were doing, wasn't it?
Oh, it's crazy what we used to do.
It wasn't healthy.
No, it wasn't. And so, just it's funny now, like now guys are spending 45 to an hour just warming up, doing a dynamic warm up, functional movement warm-ups and all that type of stuff. And I think that's where, I've changed, and not just myself, the whole game has changed, is because, guys are spending a lot more time on functional movement and dynamic warm-ups and all that type of stuff. And then kind of, working smarter after that. But I still do like to throw some weight around, it's still fun for me. And then for me, once August hits, I like to get on the ice, like try to get out there like 4 times a week. So like, you're skating a lot more than almost what you used to. And I think that's another thing too, is a lot more guys are skating. And I feel like guys aren't taking any time off the ice anymore.
These young guys, that's all they do. They don't even fucking lift weights. They just skate, develop their skills.
But the thing, Biz, to add to that point is they just skate and they don't build their base of strength, and they're getting double hip surgeries at like 24, 25 years old. So it's like, you know what I'm trying to say? And so, yeah, like you need that little bit of that rest on your hips and your joints and all that type of stuff and to build your base of strength. But yeah, it's just skating a lot more, I guess. And all that type of stuff. And to be honest, I still love it, still have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, you know, look forward to the rest of the summer doing it.
Are you still a huge stat guy, Luch? I remember you were in my car one night. I gave like you hoodie and sides of ride home somehow or other, and you had your phone out in the back seat, like rolling through the stats. You knew every guy how many goals he had that night. If he got 2 more that night, you were all over it.
Well, yeah, I mean, back then I used to, you know, just keep up with it. Just keep up with it. I mean, now it's so easy. You just pull out your phone, you know, put up the app, and you can see who scored and how they scored and all that type of stuff. And for me, it's more I just remember things. I just, you know, if I see it, I'll remember it. You know, even plays on the ice, like I'll remember little plays. You know, even if I'm watching a game that I'm not even playing, and I'll remember plays and stuff that I was, you know, just watching. And it's not because I'm like a hockey nerd or something, and all I do is just watch hockey and rip out stats and, you know, this guy, like, I don't know a guy's shooting percentage or how many shots he had that night. I just know, like, you know, the main stuff, like, you know, goals and assists, and, you know, I'll look up hits sometimes and all that type of stuff. But, or if there's a fight, I'll always look that up. But yeah, it's just, I've always had a good memory from when I would look something up or see something on TV, or if I'm, you know, part of a play or watching a play during a game on the bench or whatever, and, you know, or out there. So it's just something that I've always had. But it's really funny. And I don't know why I didn't have that memory with like biology and social studies and history and all this stuff. But when
you got to actually show up to the classes, though.
Well, I did. What do you mean? You used to get the wooden spoon if I didn't show up to class. But when it comes to like hockey and movie quotes and music and stuff like that, my memory has always been great.
There you go. How close were you to coming here during the season last year at the deadline? I know there was some talk about it. Was that even in motion at all, or was it just a rumor?
I don't know. I think it was just a rumor. I'm not the guy to ask. I hadn't heard about it from anyone from Calgary or Boston. So yeah, I think it was just a rumor. And I think me being at the Tuukka's wedding kind of, you know,
fueled it a little bit.
For sure.
Fueled it, yeah.
What was that little thing he did when he was dancing? What was he, like, counting something out? When he was whipping his hand down, that one move that was going viral? Did you see it, Biz? No?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he had a little funky dance move. But did you know Monty before you signed? Did you have any relationship with him at all before this?
No relationship with Monty before. But, you know, just talking to guys that have played for him said that he's awesome, and they all had a lot of fun playing for him last year. So, you know, really looking forward to that relationship and playing for him. You know, Chris Kelly's an assistant coach guy I played with, so, you know, talk to him too. So, you know, excited to team up with him again.
We're certainly excited to have you back in town.
Oh man, we're fired up for you, Luch. That first game back, buddy, when everybody's giving her the Luch, you're gonna get the goosebumps fired up.
Yeah, home opener with Bedard.
Where are you spending the summer? Are you out west?
I'm in Hermosa right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
perfect.
We kept our place in Hermosa Beach, and so we just come here for like a couple weeks. My daughter got into junior lifeguards, so we wanted her to experience that, you know, get some like responsibility with the lifeguard stuff and whatnot. So, you know, pretty cool experience for her.
Awesome.
Well, Luch, we appreciate your time, buddy.
Man.
Yeah,
it's been a hell of a career, and like you said, it's not over yet. So, congrats on being a Bruin again, and thanks for joining.
Thank you, fellas. Always a pleasure being on with you guys.
Good to have you back. Now, a moment for one of our favorites, Bolero. Bolero is the world's largest owner and operator of bowling centers with over 325 locations throughout the United States and currently located in 34 states. Bolero is known for reinventing one of America's oldest pastimes into a new and unforgettable experience with modern and beautifully designed venues, expansive arcades, premium signature cocktails, and a creative menu. Their locations are the perfect spots for a night out, Whether you're celebrating a birthday, feeling competitive, or just want to have a good time, Bolero is the go-to destination for an unforgettable and bold experience. Don't feel like leaving your house? Tune in for the Barstool Bolero Invitational Finale on August 9th, streaming live on YouTube. Watch as Barstool's top talent like Big Cat, Hank, Carl, and more compete for the ultimate championship title. Join in on the fun with a trip to the lanes. Enjoy bowling, good food and drinks, and a guaranteed spot on the lanes when you reserve online. Visit Bolero.com using the promo code Barstool for 15% off your next reservation. This offer is only valid through August 31st. Once again, that's Bolero.com, promo code Barstool for 15% off. Big thanks to Milan for jumping on with us once again. I believe I said it was his third time coming on with us. Can't wait to see him back in the black and gold this year. Should be good stuff. Like I said, Murls, I wish they had him last year during the playoffs, but alas, it did not happen. What's going on, Murls? What do you got?
Just before we get going to Bruins, I got one question for both of you as Bruins guys. Where will we see Bergeron next? What's more likely? We're going to see him, 1, in a Chiclets interview, 2, part of a NHL coaching staff, 3, part of an NHL management team, or 4, pull your boy Tom Brady and make a return.
I personally think a Chiclets interview comes before any of this. I think there's always been talks of Bergeron will come on once he retires. And I just think from everything I've heard about this guy, the one reason he retired was he wanted to spend time with his family. So I just don't see him jumping into a coaching role at least that quick, because I feel like as a coaching role, it's a lot of hours, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy. I could see him being like a Stevie Y, being in the front office just because he's a hockey lifer. But I don't know, RA, I don't know what you think, but I don't see him. I don't think we'll see him much for the next year. I think he's going to go spend some time with his family.
I agree on that, G. That I don't see him going to work anytime soon. Just enjoy retirement for a little bit. He's got the little ones at home, and they're
$96 million in career earnings.
He's got to come back.
$96 million, dude. And dude, how many millions he left? I mean, tens of millions on the table. If money was his only aim, he could have made a lot more. But I don't think he really gives much of a shit about that personally. And I guess by default, Chiclets would probably be first because we'd have a whole year or so to get him. But yeah, I think he probably wouldn't work for another team. I would imagine the Bruins say, hey, whenever you're ready, give us a call. And, if there's not a position open, they'll make one up for him. I mean, he's a guy who has so much wealth of knowledge of the game, whatever he wanted to do. If that's even what he wants to do, I don't even know if he has designs on working in the front office. But if he does, the Bruins would be, certainly make way for him. But yeah, I think he's just going to relax, enjoy retirement for a little bit, and hopefully see him around the neighborhood a little bit. Maybe he's visiting his old teammate across the street. Maybe I'll bump into him.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if you do see him around the Bruins rink a lot. When they filmed that Behind the B series, which is kind of like a reality show TV series following the Bruins. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if you see him after some games in the locker room, skating with them at practice here or there. I don't think he's definitely. I don't think he'll be away from the team 100%, but I don't think he'll be working 40 hours a week.
Yeah, no. And I don't think we're going to see a Tom Brady. It just doesn't strike me as the type of guy that would do that. I mean, it's something he's been mulling over for a long time. I think, apparently he knew for a while, and the team knew for a while, because they had breakup day. That's when they filmed all their video clips for the video that the Bruins rolled out when he retired. Because Ty Anderson, the great reporter, great beat reporter here in Boston, he recognized, they had all those clothes on at breakup day way back in May. So that's how you keep a secret, man. To tell 23 guys in the NHL. I mean, the NHL, a lot of gossip, a lot of sewing circles amongst the NHL guys talking, and for them to keep their mouth shut. But
don't you think I feel like they could have recorded those last year as well, and been like, hey, let's record these as a backup because Bergeron could retire. You know what I mean?
They may well have, but I don't. I mean, the fact that they knew for months. This is what they got knocked out. May? I mean, for 2 months. The idea that a secret, again, we talk to guys. The NHL players love to gossip, as do we. Just the fact that it didn't get out to media, that's
why I don't think the decision was made, RA, until recently. Okay, I think they filmed those videos ahead of time as a precautionary thing, and I think this decision was made recently because we've seen Bruins players out. We've talked to Bruins players. You're telling me after a couple beers, they're not going to fucking tell us Bergeron's fucking leaving?
Well, hey, they might have told us in Nashville, and all of us forgot.
I probably did. They probably did.
I think that, well, that's what I'm saying. No, because that's such a testament to how much respect they had for this guy that they did keep it a secret. They didn't say anything because it was Patrice Bergeron. They kept their fucking mouth shut. So either way, we'll never know. And well, like I said, sad he's gone. Happy we got to enjoy it. Now, Murls, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. What's on the deck for EBI right now? Euro starting up. We need some futures for the Swedish Elite League, the German League. Come on, man. I got to get my futures in here.
Yeah, that's why I had to come back. The leagues have started. The KHL has started, and last year I didn't really follow it much, but this year, under strict orders from Biz, we like Michkov. We got to make sure he doesn't kick anybody. So I will pay attention to him a little bit this year in the KHL. But I get stomach aches. I see clips on Twitter. They're already like doing the 2-a-days. They're running and they're 2-a-day ice. Oh man, those days. I don't ever want to go back to those KHL camps. But this week, the European leagues are going to get underway. August 1st is normally the day they all get going. And they'll do 4 or 5 practice days and they'll get right into the exhibition games. So either you'll play teams in your league, you'll play a team in the second league, or if you're in Germany, maybe go over and play an Austrian team. So there'll be a lot of different leagues like playing each other. So it'll be harder to get an understanding for futures and stuff. But it's always the same teams over here. It's those big money teams in Germany like Munich and Berlin that will be up there near the top. And Sweden, Vecchio seems to be up there in Skellefteå every year. But we all know I love Timrå. And we're going to be back again. We're not going to surprise the bookmakers this year. The Barstool Sportsbook won't be surprised when we're on them all year. So we won't get as good odds on them because they are good again. They will be in the playoffs. And you also got to pay attention and wait. A guy like Leo Carlson, our buddy now, is he going to play for Anaheim? Is he going to make the team or are they going to send him back to Örebro? So a guy like that, we got to wait and see if he's going to make it back and before you really want to start betting on these teams. But don't worry, I'm back here. I'll get the Twitter going. Once everything gets going, we'll have some picks for you guys.
What do you think of Carlson? Oh, sorry.
Carl, I love him. I loved watching him last year, and I watched him in the Worlds there too. He was great in that stuff, so I think he's gonna have no problem adjusting to the NHL. I would play him right away. I would bring him.
Did you just ask Murls what he thinks of Carlson?
We've
heard what Murls thinks of Carlson for fucking 3 years.
I didn't finish what I was saying. I was saying, what do you think of Carlson making the team next year? I didn't finish what I was going to ask. I think he would. I know he's been stroking him for years now.
Yeah, I think I would put him there. He's got all those other young guys there. Let them all learn together. It's basically like the old AHL. They used to put all of us young guys together, learn how to win together. But now they just do it at the NHL level. They all making $900,000. They got plenty of cap space. Get them all in there, learn to win together, figure out who plays good with each other, and go from there. He's done everything he can over here, but selfishly, I want him to come back so I can watch him all year.
And I think he comes back.
What were you gonna say, Murls? Before I jacked you there a second ago, you were gonna.
Yeah, I'm getting, like, my next big thing is the Chiclets Cup. That's the other reason I'm over here. I'm trying to get in shape. The American food, and I gain too much weight when I'm over there. So I wouldn't be in shape for Chiclets Cup. And I've been following the Twitter on that. And I noticed a little beef, RA, with you and one of our guys that doesn't like the Chiclets Cup, Mark Madden. What's going on there?
I know we had him on a while back, and I wasn't going to try to overrule Biz and Whit. They said, let's bring him on. I said, whatever, I'm not going to die on this hill. And, we were civil to each other for the sake of that. And then he ended up bad-mouthing us at some other time, not long after that. And I know Biz called him out. And then yesterday, and I usually don't fucking feed the trolls, Murls, but like with that idiot, I had no problem feeding him. He's like, Bergeron was a dollar store Ron Francis. And I was like, you effing idiot, like you slob. And then he deleted that and then he changed it to Dollar Tree, like as if it was a big difference. And then, I was going back and forth on him. I was just like, he's just a loser. That's all he does. He's just a engagement with negativity. Like nobody out there likes him except for like his dedicated fans. There's an old clip. I think they're wrestling announcer, Jim Cornette, I think his name is. Someone sent me a clip of him going off for 6 minutes on Madden. I'll send it out a little later today. He's just a goofball who just leaves like bullshit in his wake. I don't know how he's been successful for if that's the word. And he's so obsessed with like money, how much he's like, oh, are they paying you yet? It's like, motherfucker, I co-founded this podcast. Do you think I'm not getting paid here? Like, he's just so obsessed on all this stupid shit. So yeah, I'm kind of almost embarrassed we had him on the show now, all these years later. It's almost like a blemish on Spittin Chiclets guest register, but whatever. We had him and live and learn. That'll be a first day and a last time we have him on. fucking goofball. So, going back to the Chiclets Cup, actually, Murls. So, you guys having a roller team here? I reached out to Army. It seemed like there was a little confusion about the management here. What's going on?
Oh, well, I don't know. The commissioner of the Chiclets Cup, what's going on?
We will have a team. It's just Army doing what Army does, asking a million questions when he's already been told the answers. It's the same exact thing we've done for the past 3 Chiclets Cup. We'll have a team. We're adding Army to the team, and we're very, very excited. We'll have Darls, Chief, Feidelberg. The whole crew's going to be there. Fights, smoking cigs on the bench. One guy who won't be there, RA, you will not be our coach again. I believe you were fired last Chiclets Cup.
Yep.
But we're excited. We're very excited. We have a good squad. I think we might have to jump divisions this year. I've been kind of sandbagging us the past few years, putting us in the bottom division. So I'm most excited too because there's been so much, I don't want to say notoriety, but there's been so much publicity now about the Chiclets Cup. Everyone wants to join. Like we got the Empty Netters guys joining. We got the like we got a ton of people. Johnny Laz is putting in a team. Like we have all these different people where it's going to be fun to play against people. That
Are we getting our ringer? Are we getting our ringer from Toronto there?
I heard we are. I heard he's asking to play and he wants to come back.
Okay, yeah. I might not show up if he's not there. But those other casts that roster you just announced. Remember we had a bench Darling in that first game?
Yeah, but we're adding Army. We're adding Army.
Army's going to be a good pickup.
Puck-moving defenseman.
Is the roster full?
We need that ringer.
Is the roster full, G? Like, you guys looking for talent still?
Always looking for talent, all right.
Okay.
We can never have enough talent. You got some guys, you send them my way.
All right. Well, I do have a player actually who played in Vermont. I could talk off campus. We could chat, but a sniper, no doubt. So we'll chat a little later about that. Wasn't sure what the roster situation was.
I will say Chief has done a great job as the team's. I would say Chief's been a great GM. Chief's, he was the one who brought in. Well, he did bring in Darling, so that's kind of a blemish on his resume. But he did bring in Patrick Sharp as well. So you bring in Sharp, he helps us win the ship. It's all good. So
makes the team a lot better looking too collectively when you bring in a guy like that. So
very true.
Chiclets Cup, Buffalo, early October. Can't wait. Let's a couple other notes here. We want to send our deepest condolences to Danny Wirtz and his family on the loss of his dad, Rocky. Who passed away last week at the age of 70. Of course, the owners of the Chicago Blackhawks. We've been out there a few times, and the hospitality those guys showed us was really nice. So we just want to say we're sorry for your loss, Danny, and extend the sympathies to your family as well. It's a couple other things here. G, have you been catching anything of the show? Have you caught Oppenheimer yet? I know we've been talking about that a little bit on here.
Haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. Haven't seen Barbie. Haven't really been watching many movies yet. All right, I'd love to hear some recommendations if you got any. Yeah,
I haven't been back to the movie since Oppenheimer, but a couple documentaries on HBO, who still tremendous documentaries. That's been their forte for a long time now. They did one last week. It's called After the Bite, and it's about Wellfleet and down on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and there was a shark attack there. I want to say 2018, where a young man was killed by a great white, and the effect it's had on the town, and like it kind of divided the town because all the sharks are here because of the seals, because they protected the seal population. So now there's a ton of seals. So all the sharks are coming here to eat the seals, and the seals are eating all the fish that the fishermen used to catch. So it's kind of like everybody's pointing fingers at each other, and because of the rising temperatures of the ocean we talked about earlier, there's more sharks coming down further south from up in the North Atlantic. I mean, they estimate there's like about 400 sharks that kind of commiserate in the Cape Cod area. That's a crazy amount. And if you see any of these videos online, they're monsters. I mean, obviously great whites are monsters, but the ones that are out there now, the giant sharks. I mean, I'll go in the water anytime willy-nilly. I would probably think twice, especially with the way these orcas are popping up everywhere lately. It's been kind of crazy. I don't know if you've seen all the killer whales. They're popping up in places they've never been seen before. There's something going on in the ocean, man. But either way, the documentary, it's excellent. It goes into, like I said, the town sort of being divided and just how they've had to adapt. And, then you got the other side, people like, oh, it's nature. No, like, we don't get to determine how it plays out, blah, blah, blah. So if you get a chance, give that a look. And also there's a series called Last Call. And I was done with like murder docs. There's just too many of them on Netflix. After Making a Murderer, it's like everybody got on the murder porn fucking train. And I get it. It's titillating, and it's like you kind of get scared and shut the TV off. But it's called Last Call. And it was about a serial killer in early 90s New York City, who was targeting homosexual men. And it was like the gruesome fucking details that were going on. And like basically the police department back then was just, they didn't care. I mean, it was rampant like sort of homophobia, not sort of rampant homophobia among the department side with like the chief at the time. And they weren't putting any effort into like sort of solving these crimes. And they get into the whole detail about the people who were killed, the manner in which it went down. And there's an interview of one guy who actually had a run-in with the killer and some managed to get away. And I was sitting here with goosebumps listening to it. It was bone-chilling. And if you like those type of docs, man, it's called Last Call. A tremendous documentary series on HBO. So give that a look if you're interested.
Where was the serial killer one located? Where can you watch that?
Both of them on HBO. I'm still going to call it HBO Max. I know that idiot in charge is like one of the greatest brands, the best brand in cable, HBO, and they like, oh, let's cut the HBO off because people think it's highbrow and call it Max. It's like, the fuck's this guy doing, man? But anyways, HBO Max or HBO, wherever you want to call it, both of them, After the Bite is just a one-off, and then Last Call is 4 parts. And like I said, it was like some gruesome things going on, gruesome details, but it was just real interesting, too, as a time capsule of 30 years ago, how things were and, how they've changed in a lot of ways, thankfully. So give those a whirl. Big Deal Brew. We mentioned last week, well, we've been in Manitoba for a bit now, Ontario, a bunch of states here. Go to bigdealbrewing.com/finder. Find out where we are, where you can get us, any other things going on.
Massive
BDB.
restock in Ontario. So if you're heading up to the lake this weekend, grab some Big Deal brews at the local LCBO. And like we said, there's tons of states we're releasing all the time. So check the social medias, check bigdealbrewing.com/finder. And Murls, I actually saw a picture from the Big Deal Brewing social media. Someone tried to check their Big Deal brews to travel with them. That wasn't you, was it?
No. I had no room for any this time. But if you're gonna bring them, you gotta hide them in the suitcase. But we brought 4 bags over here, all maximum weight, so I didn't get any fresh Big Deal brews to add to my stash back there. But I did have some. I gotta shout out my Moore's Tree Service Beer League team. They let me skate. We went 2-0 when I was there. I showed up each game with a 12-pack of Big Deal Brew and a 12-pack of Blue Light, so everybody had the beer. But it was funny being back playing this year after game notes and all the rules we came up with, because I was on like walking on eggshells. Like if I mess up one of these guys are gonna call me out. And so I was pretty good.
How was the gear wear though? You were big on the gear wear. You've always said you got to look good in the beer leagues. How was your gear wear?
It was decent, except for the only jersey they had for me was a goalie cut. So I looked even fatter than I already am. It was brutal. So my gear wear wasn't great. And then one of the games I made the mistake. I left my bag out. I didn't tuck the bag underneath the bench. So that's bad locker room etiquette by me. That was the only couple mishaps I had, but it was funny like being back in it after we made up all these rules that the guys got to follow. But I had a great time. It's so fun when you after you skate that hour and then you can crush a beer. It's the best thing in the world.
You feel so good too. Like your body just feels like, well, like you're sore and you're hurting, but like your body just feels so good.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. There is absolutely nothing like it.
Well, boys, I think I'm about to go for one right now. Got to enjoy the rest of my time in Vermont by the lake, like you just said. Gee, any final notes before we wrap up and move on here? That it?
No.
That's it.
Nope.
Congrats.
BigDealBrewing.com/finder. Go find some beers for the weekend.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week with another interview for our summer series. Have a great one, all.